Hello, Danny. Nice to meet you. As a newly established multilateral development institution in the 21st century, how can the AIIB promote the economic recovery and multilateral cooperation?
So you're right, AIIB is a new multilateral institution formed in 2016. And so we achieve our results to support our members' sustainable development through investing in infrastructure projects. So last year we deployed more than $7 billion to finance projects in many countries. Now our portfolio is more than $40 billion. We focus particularly on the kind of infrastructure we think our members will need for the next few decades. That means green infrastructure. It means digital technology-enabled infrastructure. It means supporting cross-border connectivity and regional cooperation. And it also means mobilizing private sector finance. And this is especially true in respect of climate finance. We have the goal that by 2025, at least half of our investment will be for climate finance. This is perhaps the biggest challenge our world is facing. It is causing catastrophic effects already in many of our members. And so we want to deploy our finance to protect countries from the effects of climate change, but even more so to help reduce carbon emissions, to support new energy generation, new energy transportation. And I think in these ways we can really help our members to recover, to develop, and to develop in a more sustainable way.
As you said, green infrastructure is very important, as well as the digital infrastructure. So as we know, there are 4 directions of the AIIB.
So basically our idea is that we're here to invest in infrastructure for low and middle income countries in Asia, but also beyond Asia. But we want to invest in the kind of infrastructure that we think countries will need in the future. So we call it infrastructure for tomorrow. Infrastructure for tomorrow is green, technology enabled, connected, and supported by the private sector. And so we need to find the right projects and support our members to develop the projects that have these characteristics. Green infrastructure means climate change mitigation, adaptation. That means renewable energy, transport investments, urban infrastructure. Technology enabled means both helping our members to improve their digital infrastructure so that their citizens can access digital services more easily. But it also means embedding technology in existing infrastructure to make that infrastructure more efficient, more cost-effective, more sustainable. Then connectivity means investing in infrastructure projects that help to bring our members closer together, that supports exchange of goods and people and services, and for example, even power transmission across borders. And then of course we know that the infrastructure challenges facing our world are so huge that they cannot be met by public sources like AIIB or government budgets by themselves. Actually, the private sector has to be mobilized to a much greater extent than has been in the past. And so we seek to work with private sector organizations to mobilize their capital for infrastructure projects so that the overall impact is much greater.
Yeah, mentioned to the climate financing. So I would like to know what's the achievements and goals of the field of climate financing.
So our goal is to support our members to achieve their own net zero ambitions and to implement their goals under the Paris Agreement. That means that the future infrastructure has to be lower carbon, it has to be more sustainable, it has to also be protected from the effects of climate change, and also increasingly it has to be aware of the challenges facing biodiversity and nature. And so we have to think about those 3 things: climate change mitigation, adaptation, and nature together as much as we can when we finance our projects. So we have a goal that at least 50% of our finance will go for climate projects by 2025. Actually, we already achieved that last year, so we have to do more. And one of the things we're going to do this year is to align every single AIIB investment with the goals of the Paris Agreement. So from next month, every project that we do, we have to look at climate change mitigation implications. We have to look at adaptation. Every project should have some quality that is helping to protect that investment from the possible consequences of climate change, not just next year or the year after, but for the next few decades. And so by doing that, I think we can really contribute to making sure that all of our infrastructure investment and the investment of our members is aligned with the goals of the Paris Agreement. And honestly, if the world fails to achieve the goals of the Paris Agreement, then the effects will be catastrophic for the whole world.